Hello, HIST 711 students. My name is Ronald Picciarelli, and tonight I'm going to talk about the two different visions for the United States. One of the themes for our course from Dr. David Livingston's lectures is bigger always better for a republic? And according to Dr. David Livingston, we find out that bigger certainly is not always better. In fact, when we look at our representation now in the year 2020, it's worse than it's ever been. If we look at our House of Representatives, we find out that the number of representatives has been capped since 1910 at 435. Now, in 1910, the population of the United States was 92 million. So that meant one representative for every 211,000 people. Now, in the year 2020, when the population of the United States is 328 million people, we find that one representative is now for 754,000 people in the United States. So I guess if you want to make a difference, we tell people, write your congressman. We'll see how far that one goes with one representative for every 754,000 people. Now, the two different visions for the United States comes from Thomas Jefferson with the Jeffersonian vision of America and the Lincolnian vision of America. Now, Thomas Jefferson was in favor of secession and definitely in favor of states' rights. In fact, the Declaration of Independence in 1776 is a document of secession. He also wrote his friends in two letters in 1803 and 1804, where he discusses that secession of parts of the United States is a fine idea. He talks about an Atlantic Confederation in one of the letters, and in the same letter he talks about to let go a Mississippi Confederation, kind of a daughter confederation, and he's more than willing to let them go. And that's how new countries are formed. They're formed from big ones, splitting up into smaller ones, as long as it's lawful. Now, the other group that he gets his information from, his background from, is also the anti-federalists, who are very worried about the encroachment of a federal government on individual rights in the states. In fact, James Madison writes in his notes about the Constitutional Convention from 1787 that he's certainly in favor of states making a compact and delegating the certain amount of rights into the federal government. Now, we have the other vision of the United States, which comes from the Federalists, and Abraham Lincoln jumped on this one, and it is the Hobbesian vision. Now, Thomas Hobbes wrote his famous Leviathan book, and in Leviathan, the monarch basically is the ultimate authority, and a group of people cannot split off from the monarch because that would be illegal, and the monarch would not allow them to. The monarch holds absolute authority in the Hobbesian vision and Lincolnian vision. And what we have here in the United States, we have Jeffersonian America, which lasted from 1776 until 1865, where the states were, in theory, would have more power than the federal government, and states, in theory, could nullify federal laws. In practice, in 1832, that didn't work out very well, and South Carolina had to back down. But the ideas were there, especially from John C. Calhoun, who was certainly a believer in his book here, Union and Liberty, was a believer in the ideas from Thomas Jefferson and James Madison in their Kentucky and Virginia resolutions in 1798. Now, obviously, we have the other vision, which is the Hobbesian vision, and it's the Lincolnian vision, where it's more of a top-down approach, where the federal government is the ultimate authority, and they certainly encroach more on people's liberty in various states. And our representation has just been, worse since 1910, where the House of Representatives has been capped. So those are two different visions for the United States. Obviously, the Jeffersonian vision seems like it has certainly lost and is gone, but it's not, because after World War I, Woodrow Wilson came up with national self-determination, which was certainly an idea that advocated secession of various national groups from bigger ones. And the idea is certainly still around since 1990. We've gotten many more countries that have been formed from the former Soviet Union. And in fact, other smaller ones like Yugoslavia split up into 5 different smaller ones. And the Czech Republic has split into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Also, Sudan is split up now into a South Sudan and Sudan. So we do see this in European and African countries also. So the idea for secession is certainly still there, and the two different visions of the United States are certainly still there. So I thank you for your attention. Good night.